Salam, peace be upon you. My name is Muhammad Laiq Sadiqi, the father of Holophase. We are going to zoom out so far that universe stops sounding like a place. We will build it like a notebook full of stamped receipts. Each state hash is a dot. Each valid update certificate is a line connecting two dots. That connected drawing is what we call the same universe. No connecting line, no right to claim a relation. Identity becomes connectivity. Recap of where we are. We are telling one long story about change. We started with everyday change. A cup is whole, then the cup is broken. A message is not sent, then it is sent. A light is off, then it is on. But we refuse to say time flowed, so it happened. Instead, we built a clean way to speak. We said, if something is public, it must be something strangers can check. So we built a folder called the state package S of W. It is like a sealed school folder that contains what we looked at, how we looked at it, what the boundary is, what we are allowed to claim, how much uncertainty we honestly carry, and the replay trail so other people can repeat it. Then we said, we cannot say next unless we can prove a typed bridge. If we cannot prove it, we must say adjacency is undefined. Then we made change into a receipt called an update certificate. It is the public object that says, this certified state leads to that certified state with proofs, gate results, and evidence. Then we built 8 gates, like 8 checkpoints in an airport, so every claim must pass. If it fails honestly. Then in part 8, we installed the immune system. If something fails, we print a refusal certificate. If we can still save a smaller honest claim, we print a downgrade proposal. We store failures in a negative archive, like a hospital record of mistakes, so we do not repeat them. And if an older certificate later breaks, we write a revocation dossier and revoke it. And we revoke anything that depended on it. So now, our story of change is not fragile. It can correct itself. Now, in part 9, we ask a big question. What is a universe if we refuse to treat it like a magical place? Imagine we are at home with a big box of photographs. Each photo is a snapshot of something: a birthday cake, a school day, a trip, a new haircut. But here's the problem. If we spill the photos on the floor, we can still look at each photo, but we might not know which photos belong to the same family story, because a single photo does not prove it connects to the next photo. Now imagine something even cleaner than photos. Imagine every photo comes with a receipt that proves it is connected to another photo. A receipt that says, this photo and that photo belong to the same chain of verified events. That is what we are going to build. Pause. Now we say clearly. Episode 14 gave us the alphabet of certified structure. Episode 15 gives us the grammar of lawful change. Episode 14 compiled what is publicly readable inside Windows. Episode 15 certifies how one compiled page can legally lead to another. And today we ask, what is a universe when we build it only from certified change? Part 9. What is a universe? We say something that sounds strange at first, but becomes obvious with everyday life. A universe is not a place. A universe is a connected record. A universe is a graph. Now we explain graph in a simple way. A graph is a drawing made of dots and lines. Dots are called nodes. Lines are called edges. So, a node is a dot. An edge is a line connecting two dots. In our framework, nodes are state hashes, meaning the identity stamps of state packages. Edges are valid update certificates, meaning certified change receipts that connect one state package to another. We name this drawing graph G sub U. Graph G sub U. We will use that spoken form every time. Graph G sub U is the universe graph. Everyday example, the city receipt map. Imagine a city with many shops. Every time you buy something, you get a receipt. Now imagine we do something weird but very powerful. We draw a map, but not a map of streets, a map of receipts. Each receipt has a receipt number. Each receipt number is like a dot on paper. Now imagine some receipts show a connection. Receipt number 1 is connected to receipt number 2 because it was a return exchange. Receipt number 2 is connected to receipt number 3 because it was paid by the same bank transfer. Receipt number 3 is connected to receipt number 4 because it used the same warranty card. Soon, we get a connected web of dots and lines. That connected web is one story. But if there is a receipt that has no line connecting it to anything, we cannot claim it belongs to that same story. It might belong to another shop. It might belong to another person. It might be real, but it is not connected to our record. That is the heart of Part 9. Holophase translation. Each state package S of W has a hash, like a receipt number. Each valid update certificate is like a link that connects one receipt to another. The universe is the connected web of these links. So we repeat the anchor line. A universe is not a place. It is a connected record of certificates. The trap we refuse. The trap is, we see two states, and we assume they must be related because they look similar. We see two pictures of a cup, and we assume the cup in picture 1 is the same cup in picture 2. But similarity is not enough. Public reality requires a connection we can audit. So we install a strict rule. No edge, no claim of relation. That line is a protective wall. It stops us from making stories that feel true but cannot be checked. What are state hashes in simple language? A state hash is like a sealed label. Think of a jar of cookies. If we seal the jar and put a tamper sticker on it, we can later check if it is the same jar. A hash is like that tamper sticker. It is an identity stamp created from the state package contents. So, if the state package changes, the hash changes. If two teams build the same state package the same way, the hash should match. That is why the hash is a node in the universe graph. It is the dot. What is an edge in simple language? An edge is a valid update certificate. It is the line that says, this dot connects to that dot through a legal change receipt. But remember, not every attempt becomes an edge. Only a valid update certificate becomes an edge. If the gates fail, we do not draw the line. We draw a refusal certificate and store it in the negative archive. So the universe graph is not a fantasy web. It is a clean web. The meaning of same universe. Now we say something important. When people say same universe, they often mean a giant place, like a container. But we do not do metaphysics here. We do operational identity. So we define. Two states are in the same universe instance if they are connected in graph G sub U by a chain of edges. In simple language, if you can walk from one dot to the other dot by stepping along certificate lines, then they are part of the same connected record. If you cannot, then you are not allowed to claim they belong to the same instance. They might still be related in some deeper way. but we refuse to claim it without certified edges. Everyday example: friends in a phone contact network. Imagine a phone contact network. You are a dot. Your friend is a dot. If you have each other's number, that is a line. Now, suppose you hear about a person in another country. They might be real. But if there is no chain of contacts that links you to them, you cannot claim, this person is in my contact network. You can say, they exist somewhere. But you cannot claim a certified connection. Graph identity is like that. Connectivity defines in the same instance. Disconnection handling, very important. Sometimes the graph will split into separate pieces. Maybe we have one connected component here, another connected component there. A component is a piece of the graph where every dot in that piece connects to others in that same piece, but not to dots outside. Spoken simply, a component is an island of connected paperwork. And we do something very disciplined. We do not force islands into one story. We do not say, oh, it must all be one universe anyway. We say, these are separate components unless and until we build certified edges that connect them. This stops many kinds of false unity. It protects us from pretending that unrelated measurements are one storyline. 3 retention anchors to keep the listener breathing. We place 3 short anchor lines that we will repeat through the episode. 1. A universe is a connected record. 2. No edge, no claim of relation. 3. Identity becomes connectivity. These are the memory hooks. The gates still matter here, but quietly. In part 9, we are not building new gates. We are using what we already earned. But we must say the key idea. Edges only exist if the update certificate passed the 8 gates. So the universe graph is automatically cleaned by gate discipline. It is not a drawing of hopes. It is a drawing of what survived audits. What autoprune means: simple and important. Now we connect to part 8. We learned revocation. If an old certificate breaks, we revoke it. Part 9 adds a new rule. If an edge is revoked, it must be removed from the graph. This is called autoprune. Spoken in simple language, if a bridge is unsafe, we remove it from the map. We do not keep it just because it looks nice. So graph G sub U must update itself. Revoked edges disappear, and that can split a component into separate components. This is healthy. This is how the universe graph stays honest over time, without time being a primitive. Everyday example: a train line closure. Imagine a city train map. Station dots, train lines. If a train line closes because the bridge is broken, that line must be removed from the map. And suddenly, 2 areas that used to feel connected are no longer connected. You can still travel by another route if it exists, but if no route exists, they are separate. That is exactly what revocation does in graph G sub U. Spoken definition delivered slowly. We now deliver the central statement in spoken form. Universe graph G sub U is the graph whose nodes are state hashes and whose edges are valid update certificates. Pause. Now the kitchen translation. A universe is the connected web of stamped receipts that link one certified page to another. If the receipts do not connect, you are not allowed to pretend you have one story. What this does to identity. Now we explain the phrase, identity becomes a graph property. In simple terms, we do not decide identity by imagination. We do not decide identity by labels. We do not decide identity by similarity. We decide identity by connectivity. If a state is connected into the record, it is part of that universe instance. If not, it is outside. This is a clean rule. Stress test inside. Part 9. We run one stress test because it protects identity claims. We say, phi goes to phi plus c. Translation, if we rename every street, the city stays the same. Now ask, do the nodes change? The answer is, the state package hash should not change if the change is purely a legal relabeling that preserves invariance. If the hash changes because of a harmless relabeling, then our hashing and canonicalization are broken, and we must repair the state package standard. And if an edge exists that depends on that broken identity, we may need revocation. This is how the graph stays meaningful. Intervention, split moment, graph version. We also remind the listener. Sometimes it looks like the graph changed, but actually we changed the window. For example, we switch cameras. Now we get new state packages. Are they connected to the old ones? Only if we can prove an adjacency type that explains the change of window. If we cannot, adjacency is undefined, so we do not draw an edge. We do not pretend. We do not force same universe by desire. This is a major protection against measurement confusion. Predictions, delivered like receipts. Prediction 1. If two independent teams build the same state package S of W from the same evidence and the same passport rules, the resulting state hash should match. If it does not match, our hashing and canonicalization rules are not stable. Prediction 2. If an update certificate is revoked, then graph G sub U must remove that edge, and any claim of connectivity that depended on it must be reconsidered. If the graph stays connected by a revoked edge, the universe identity rule is broken. Prediction 3. If we truly have two separate phenomena that share no valid certificate chain, graph G sub U will show two separate components. If we find ourselves forcing them into one story anyway, we have violated part 9. Prediction 4. If adjacency is undefined between two states, then there must not be an edge between them, and any statement like they are in the same universe instance must be refused or downgraded. Falsifier for part 9. Here is a clear falsifier in simple language. If we repeatedly observe that two states behave as if they are part of one consistent public reality, with repeatable cross-checks between them, but no certificate chain can ever be constructed between their hashes even after honest attempts, then Part 9's connectivity criterion is incomplete. What do we do then? We do not break the firewall. We do not invent magic. We do one of two honest moves. We search for a missing adjacency type that can be introduced later through a proper extension with gates. Or we accept that our current certificate language cannot express that connection yet, and we archive the gap as an escape candidate for later layers. What we produce in Part 9. At the end of Part 9, we have new public objects. A universe graph called graph G sub U. Graph snapshots that show the current nodes and edges. Component reports that say, here are the connected islands, and here is what belongs to each. Edge validity proofs, meaning each edge points to the update certificate and its gate report. We also produce a new discipline. We stop using universe like a vague word. We use it as connected record. Audit artifact. What goes into the ledger? We store a snapshot of graph G sub U with date and version. A list of nodes, each being a state hash tied to a state package archive location. A list of edges, each pointing to an update certificate archive location, plus its gate report evidence pointers. A component report listing separate connected components. An edge validity proof bundle for each edge. A revocation watch list so revoked edges are pruned automatically. Negative archive crosslinks for refused edges so future teams see what was attempted and why it failed. Revocation clause, graph specific. If an edge remains in GraphG sub U after its update certificate is revoked, then GraphG sub U is no longer trusted until it is repaired and resnapped. If a component report forces separate components into one story without a new valid edge, then that report is refused and stored in the negative archive. If node identities shift under harmless invariant stress tests, like phi goes to phi plus c, then the hashing and canonicalization standard must be revised, and any dependent connectivity claims must be rechecked. We end with a picture. We are holding a notebook. Every page is a sealed state package. Between some pages, we have stamped receipts called update certificates. Those stamps draw lines between pages. When you look at all pages and all lines, you do not see a place. You see a connected record. That connected record is what we are allowed to call a universe instance. Not because it feels big, because it is checkable, because strangers can audit it, because it is public. Episode 14 gave us certified structure. Episode 15 gives us certified becoming. If becoming cannot be certified, it is not public reality. It is only a story. If you want to go deeper, the formal work can be found on Zenodo. Search for Holophase. Always, peace be upon you.